I grew up not knowing what peace looked like. I grew up in a very war-intense country that people fight every single day. The gunfire's going all over, and God saved my life there. When I was about 10 years old, I suddenly got sick and I didn't know what was wrong. In South Sudan, there were no medical facilities. And so we were wondering what to do. But God was so faithful enough, He brought in a small plane to do some humanitarian work. And they say, okay, we're gonna take you to the refugee camp in Kenya. And so they brought us to the refugee camp in Kenya, where we're trying to look for treatment. God bring in these mission doctors, and they came and they look at me and they say, we can take you to our hospital. There's a long list of people, a waiting list of people trying to go to the hospital. And so the time they look at me, I have another 6 months to wait to actually make it to the hospital. So by the time that I got sick, to the time that I finally made it to the hospital, 2 years has already passed by.
Michael came to our hospital in 2005 for his first surgery.
I saw him, he was paralyzed from basically the chest down. When you looked at his x-rays, he had very active tuberculosis involving his spine. His thoracic spine was bent way beyond a right angle instead of a nice straight up, so it went and kinked, and when it kinked, it was putting pressure on the spinal cord.
And so he came and did a spine surgery on me, and I was okay for the first 2 days. And then the third day, I developed a lot of complications.
But we explored everything, decompressed everything, but his motor function never returned. He couldn't walk again and would be resigned to the wheelchair. And then came the final discussion was, what are we going to do now? We have a young boy from Sudan living in Kenya in a wheelchair. He can't go back to South Sudan in a wheelchair. It's just not possible.
Well, Michael's been in the hospital on and off, well, mostly in the hospital for 2 years by this point.
And then one day, his wife, Mama Janami, came to the hospital and they visited with me. And we're talking and just telling how I'm doing.
And I'm sitting there and Michael's across the way talking to me. And I am arguing with God, who I felt like was standing there saying to me, Jana, I want you to take care of Michael. And Michael, meanwhile, is talking to me, yakking at me across the room. I have no clue what he said to me because I am just arguing. And so I finally say goodbye to Michael, and I walk home and I said to Tim, God just told me that we have to take care of Michael.
So they came and told me about this. Like, God has told us to take care of you, Michael. And I couldn't believe it myself. I'm like, why me? Why? There's so many kids that they're taking care of, but why did they pick me to save my life and to let me go to school, give me the opportunity to be able to experience this different life? Because at that point, my life was hopeless. Somebody in a wheelchair in Africa living a hopeless life. And so when I came to the United States and see the hope that people with disability have because of the people that love them, that care for them, it starts something in my heart saying that, you know what? I think that's why God saved my life. He saved my life to look at what it is like, how people with disability are loved and cared for and valued. And I want to take that back to Africa. Living with Hope is a ministry that is to share hope and also mobility to those people who are living in Africa. Those kids, they have potential. They could have hope if someone speaks through them. And that's why I started the ministry of Living with Hope. And so we've been going to Africa, to Kenya, to do that. And that is we take a team of physical therapists and mechanics to go with us to go and distribute those wheelchairs, to making sure that the wheelchair fit the people.
Some of the cases were very sad because, like some of the kids were horribly contracted for cerebral palsy, and you could tell they've never really had any therapy, they've never had any movement. You couldn't bend their elbows, you couldn't bend their hips, you couldn't bend their knees. You just kind of picked them up in like a sitting position and just plunked them in the chair, and then you had to modify the chair. And the mechanics that we worked with were all unbelievably amazing.
The physical therapists would tell us what we needed to do, whether put bindings or straps onto a wheelchair to hold people's arms and legs in place, whether they needed extra seat cushions to hold them in a little tighter in their seat, or just to raise them up in their seat. So our job was to retrofit those chairs to whatever the therapist wanted us to do. Every person that we come into contact with, we also share the gospel with them. They all received a Bible in either English or Swahili. We would pray with them. We would tell them this, this is all done in Jesus' name.
They should know that they are special and that God created them with a special plan and purpose for their life.
Seeing just the change that you can make in someone's life with something simple, and then you see these people's face light up, and you see them just get almost giddy as they sit in this wheelchair and learn how to turn circles with it and go backwards with it, and the whole family starts clapping, and you just realize that you've really made a difference.
Take them from not being able to move and being outdoors, or being able to be out and about, to put them in a chair, to give them the means to move and locomotion and mobility, and it does give them a whole new perspective on life, and to be part of that is an amazing thing, and that's what Living with Hope is all about.
When you go to this third world country and you see these people that are crawling across the streets, you see these people that, we had one lady come in on her hands and knees one day. She had sandals on her hands and big huge pads on her knees, and she walks through this door and she's walking with her 3-year-old daughter alongside of her, and then you put her in a chair and she can get up and get mobile and take care of her daughter. There's hope in that.
What we do is life-changing for so many people. Being in that place, especially being on the trip and see how everything come together, it'll change your life. Your passion come from your biggest pain. People that do something, they do something because of what they have experienced. So my deepest pain and suffering gave me the passion to be able to want to do what I'm doing right now. I'm thankful to God for giving me this story to share hope with the whole world.